Welcome on in tonight. Well, greatly appreciate for everybody joining us here tonight on this Tuesday night. As always, greatly appreciate it. See Carl John Jacobson already on there. Thank you so much for being first. And second of all, we got iFOMO. Thank you so much as well for putting in a comment. And make sure you guys hit that like button as you guid roll on in. Greatly appreciate it to all of you. So, there's some really interesting information going around right now, and I just want to kind of rant on it just a little bit when it comes down to what's actually occurring right now. What do we see in the foreseeable future when it comes down to the Pokemon TCG? What kind of information might we be seeing? And let me make sure my audio is working. I've done that before, so it looks like the audio is working. I'm going to turn it up a little bit, make sure you guys can hear me. So, the one thing that I do want to sit there and talk about is I'm seeing certain places starting to talk about how Journey Together is going to cause the market to collapse, and the lack of product in it is going to cause the market to collapse. And historically, that's not how it works, right? Historically, in the Pokemon market, in order to have a collapse, we have to have a reprint, and a massive reprint at that. You can go to the Pokemon Go boom. If we want to go all the way back to 2016, going into 2017, what actually ended the Pokemon Go boom? Well, the number one main factor was that they took the best sets out of there and they reprinted it to death. Whether you look at XY Evolutions, reprinted that extremely heavy, killed that one. Roaring Skies, really, really heavy when it comes down to another set as well. So you got another very heavy set that was very popular back then, printed it to the ground. So they took their big pushes that caused the boom and the boom was going with, and Pokemon does what Pokemon does and completely reprint it to death. And that is something that is not going to change, I don't think, in any way, shape, or form. So when you're sitting and looking at Sword and Shield, what really slowed down that Sword and Shield boom? We were already kind of falling anyways, and I think you're going to see a little bit of a decline. You always get these peaks, these huge growths, and then you see a retraction because prices get too expensive. Not many people want to spend that kind of money on a hobby. Not that many people want to get involved into a hobby. Sword and Shield, realistically, the peak was like December of 2020 into early January 2021. Going out of that, even into, Shining Fates, there was a little bit of a collapse when it came down to it, and we saw the market already starting to kind of go down, where things were starting to semi-correct and things were starting to go downwards, or at least start to flatline, where it was a more reasonable and predictable market to how it was going to perform. And then we got the reprints there in October of 2021, which just absolutely decimated the market for overall growth. It just completely squashed it. And it took a long time before that market really did recover. I mean, Sword and Shield still stayed pretty steady because there was a lot of new people in there. Some people really didn't have interest in Scarlet and Violet. I do know that there's several people that are even here on the channel that have said that they've never gotten into Scarlet and Violet because they just don't have any interest in it. And that's fine. I mean, that's exactly what does occur when it comes down to the eras in the Pokemon TCG. Now, we're in another boom. And here we are again talking the same things in 2024 going into 2025. Almost, in my opinion, it almost mirrors what we saw in 2020 to 2021. We're seeing a very, very huge part of that. And that's a big thing too, is that we continue to see these booms kind of happen. Pokemon, I don't know what Pokemon's doing. That's the one part that I don't understand. You look at Journey Together, we look at the allocation numbers for Journey Together, we're still way down. You look at Prismatic Evolutions, you can't tell me that Pokemon didn't think that set was going to be huge. Anybody with 2 brain cells could have been able to do some analysis on that and be able to understand that that was going to happen, and that was going to be the circulation that was going to occur with that particular set. And the fact that Pokemon's leaving so much money on the table on that particular set is very interesting. So, will we get reprints? That's really going to be the one question. Do I think Journey Together is going to be the end-all, be-all that's going to send this market over the top where the bubble pops? No, not unless we get some very hefty reprints of Surging Spark and Prismatic in there, maybe even some Stellar Crown, Twilight Masquerade, even back down to Temporal Forces at this point in time. We're going to need to see some hefty reprints of the previous sets here that are going to actually drown this market a little bit and get the people out of here that are probably just in here just because they're trying to scalp. Once that scalper market kind of goes away, the market retracts. That's going to cause your bubble pop, and that's going to cause this market to retrace down to more realistic numbers for the ages of the sets. Sword and Shield, once again, no product's going to come for that particular set, so they argue what they are. I think you might see a little bit of a retrace. We saw that with the Sun and Moon product in 2020 and 2021. As the market and the scalpers got flooded out, there got to be less demand. More people were willing to go into Sword and Shield for the chases that were going on at that point in time. and Sun and Moon took a couple of years for it to also take off. I mean, Team Up sat for a few years at a lower price. Even I know I did a video in April 2022 where I was talking about Team Up was actually a really good buy at that point in time because it had actually bottomed out right around that $800 to $750, and that was a good time to jump in on Team Up considering it was already up at like 12 to 14 during the boom. So to see that retract and give you an opportunity to get in on it at a little bit lower price, and then of course after that we saw it continue to go up again. So you'll see this retract, you'll see this growth back up. That's going to be that's what I predict is going to happen here in the near term when it comes down to this market. I don't think we're going to see. I don't see it going down to where we're going to completely diminish all the markets. Sword and Shield's going to see a little bit of a retract, but realistically, Scarlet and Violet, wherever the reprints happen, are going to be the sets that get hit the worst. We already know that we're getting a Temporal Forces reprint at this point in time. That has been announced, and some of the products are starting to show up. There were Temporal Forces booster boxes available on Pokemon Center last week. They have been showing up. My distributor actually had them up as well, so I could purchase booster boxes through there. They didn't have any sleeve blisters, which is what I was really after personally. That's what I kind of shoot for when it comes down to the product line for the streaming side. I know some people like booster boxes for the streaming side. I like booster boxes for long-term holds. That's where I like my booster box products to be. It's for those long-term holds. But when it comes down to what I want to rip and have on streams, then that's typically I'm shooting for the sleeve blisters. I think that them are a little bit more fun, a little bit more randomized. You know you're going to get one SIR per 144, and it's usually one of the fairly decent ones. So each one of the boxes usually has one SIR in it minimum, which is a great feature to have when you're pulling because you know you're going to get an SIR in 144 packs. That's actually doing better than most of the averages when it comes down to an SIR pull. So that's another factor that it's really kind of nice when it comes down. Same with gold cards. So you're sitting there actually a little bit better than what the averages are if you're pulling from booster boxes. And that's a nice little feature. Plus, there's a lot of illustrator rares. There's a lot of different things inside of those 144 blister sleeves. I'm sure if you were to open up 20 cases and open up the equivalent of the sleeve blisters, it's probably going to average out to the same or close. I would be willing to bet that if you actually did that experiment, unless you got a heavy booster box or case of booster boxes where you actually knew for sure that you were going to get multiples inside of an SIR or multiple SIRs inside of a case of booster boxes, I don't know if you would actually do as good as you would with them cases. So that's another factor, interesting part about those that seems to hold out pretty well. At least it has since Sword and Shield on forward, is that you really get one heavy illustrator or one alternate art inside of one of those, which is 144, or you're going to be looking at something as an SIR. So one of the bigger SIRs inside of there as well. So it could be a trainer, it could be a Pokemon, it could be one of them. But on 144 packs, you're going to be getting an SIR inside of there. So that's one thing to be considering. But Temporal Forces, we are seeing product come out of that particular set. So that's starting to roll out. And that was one that we knew was coming here sometime in February. We knew that was coming up, and that had been announced. We talked about that back in December. When it comes down to right now, Surging Sparks, we're being told we're going to get Surging Sparks coming up at the end of April. We're also supposed to be seeing more prismatic ETBs here in March. So hopefully we'll be able to see more prismatic products come out as well in March. So that's another thing to be looking forward to, is if you are in that prismatic evolutions market, I feel it's like Evolving Skies, guys. If you can get it, I would buy it at MSRP. I don't think that there's any reason not to. If you're looking for that hard long-term investment that's going to do really well, I think prismatic is going to be very, very competitive to Evolving Skies. And why wouldn't it be? Overall, the performance of it has been actually a little bit higher than Performing Sky or Evolving Skies, but we have a lot of people typing FOMO about Evolving Skies that are pushing that. And a lot of people want it to be Evolving Skies as well, so that's really pushing it. Granted, it's a fun set. It's a fun set to open. Even streaming it and opening packs for streaming has been extremely fun for the one little bit that I've gotten to do. And I think it's a lot of fun to get into it as well. I think Journey Together, realistically, the set itself is not very strong. I will say that when you actually look at what's available in that set, if you look at Battle Partners and you actually take a look at what we have in that set right now, it's really not a strong set. I thought it'd be a little bit stronger, and I thought that there might have been a little bit better opportunities or a little bit better arts with that, going back to that gym hero, gym challenge style with the trainer on the cards and stuff like that. I definitely think that Pokemon went lackluster on this particular set. Opening it is fun. I mean, you got some of the newer, basically, you're getting newer trainers on these sets, which is kind of cool. But there again, you're just not getting you're not getting as much as you would really think with it. So when you're actually looking at the actual product in itself, and you're actually looking at the overall set when it comes down to English, is Journey Together going to be an extremely strong set? I don't think so. The only thing that's going to really drive it up is the fact that we're really, really hot in this market currently when it comes down to this set, and the fact that it's going to be short printed again. So we're not getting as much print as what we got for demand. We have sports cards or sports cards Ripper still opening this thing up, trying to get in on it. We have a lot of that going on in this market where people that don't normally deal with Pokemon cards are still involved. Scalpers are in on it, so you're able to sell booster boxes right now. Football Pete still, last time I checked, was still about, what was it, 190 booster box for Journey Together. So overall, price is still holding extremely high when it comes down to it. So I'm going to go ahead and check right now because I didn't check the last few days. I looked on Thursday and they were like 195 a booster box from Football Pete. So if I go Journey, let me pull it open real quick. I'm just pulling Journey Together booster box. We're going to look at Journey Together booster box. So, yeah, we're still sitting Football Pete 195 right now, 194.99 through Football Pete. Otherwise, the cheapest ones that are out here right now are 185, 187 for them, 188. So, I mean, you're sitting 195 right in that range. So, once again, the lower price on these, or lower market availability on these, and the short print on this, and the demand currently in this hobby is really starting to push this set forward. Because if we really take a look at what's available in this set and what your real chases are going to be, you really got that. You look at Battle Partners. Battle Partners is a great way to look at this for a comparison because this is exact one for one when it comes down to a set, which is very odd for Japanese to English as well. Is that Battle Partners is a direct drop in for Journey Together, and I don't believe there's going to be any extra cards or cards removed from this set. So that's really going to be just, it is what it is when it comes down to the cards that are in this set currently. So we do have like Lily's Clefairy EX is going to be your big chase right now. It is in the Japanese side. Could be a little bit different in the English market, but typically it's comparable most of the time. And you're sitting at $418 currently, but you got Lily's Clefairy, you got Iono and Billy Bolt, and Zoark, and then that's Hops Zacian is up there a little bit for the Japanese. Even the Ends Reshiram really isn't pushing as I thought that would do a little bit better, but maybe it's just a Japanese market. This one could be a sleeper one in the English market coming up on Journey Together here. Otherwise, there's really not anything in this. If you actually look through it, the Articuno card, really, really nice. I really want that one personally myself. Iono's Kilowattle, I think, is a really, really nice artwork in this set, but if you actually take a little bit of time and look at what's in the set, it really isn't a strong set in my opinion. Some people may completely disagree with that. Some people may think otherwise, but in my opinion, from what I'm seeing on the set currently, there's a couple cards that I think will be really hot demand, but in general, the set itself is not very strong when it comes down to what's going to be available in this particular set. So once again, it's going to be a set that you're going to want to dig out what you want out of it, and you're going to want to just pick up, probably purchase some singles out of it. If you're going to chase, you're going to chase probably that Lily and Clefairy. That's going to be your big chase. That's what you're going to be going after. But other than that, I mean, it's really going to be interesting to see if this set gets a reprint, how well it will perform. That's the bigger thing too, is that I'd be watching. If you're looking at buying this at $200, if this set gets a reprint, how's it going to perform if this gets a reprint and everything else in the market gets a reprint? That's the one concern that I have with this particular set is that if this gets a reprint right away and gets more product put in it, but it comes out at the same time as Surging Sparks and Prismatic Evolutions, and those two sets also get reprints, I could honestly foresee this set and Journey Together really falling down really quickly, like the pricing dropping really fast on this set and taking a long time to recover. Do I think it will recover? Of course. I think it'll eventually recover just like it always does. It's just going to take time. And everything is time at that point, and it's really trying to wait for discovery for other people to come in and enjoy this as well. I said, Lily Scalfari, definitely a decent card. I think it's a really, really cool little artwork. Lily cards always do well, even from Sun and Moon. They did extremely well. I think that this card's going to do really well. They're pushing Iono a little bit with the Iono and Billy Bolt. Like I said, Iono cards have had a lot of popularity in the past when it came down to the Scarlet and Violet era as well. I like the artwork of the Articuno. I think it's a really, really nice artwork. And Reshiram, I think it's a really decent card. It's just not holding up in the Japanese market. I think it may do a little bit better here in the English market than what we are currently seeing in the Japanese market. And same with the Articuno. Articuno is actually down a lot further than what I thought it would be, but I could definitely see that card as well having a little bit of a push, futuristically in the English market. I think the English market could do a little bit better when it comes down to that performance. I could also see Hop Zacian really falling the other direction just because Hop and Zacian really don't have much demand here in the English market. So it's definitely, you're gonna see some flip flops. You're gonna see some of these kind of flip around, but overall, I'm just looking at the artwork and what the cards actually look like and what we're actually potentially looking at. Who's gonna invest in these? The Lily's Clefairy EX, they've got that full art, or it's just a super rare in theirs. Really, really cool. I like the Clefairy up front with her shadowed behind it. I think it's a really cool artwork on that one as well. So I think that one could become fairly popular here potentially in the English market. So there's a couple of them I think could be a little bit of a sleeper in the Japanese market just because different markets have different people looking at different stuff. So it could really change on that end for what people will be looking for. So overall, it's definitely going to be very interesting how Journey Together would handle a major reprint of all these major sets. So if people had a choice and not just fighting for Journey Together because it's what's on the shelf this week, how is that going to hold up when you're looking at it when you get in a reprint situation where you have the option of Journey Together, Surging Spark, Stellar Crown, Twilight Masquerade, and Journey Together? Is Journey Together going to hold those profits, and those are they going to continue to grow past the $200 mark? Or is it going to retrace fairly quickly because people are going to want to move it because everybody's interested in the other products that are available? And I could definitely see Prismatic, of course, being the shining light. As long as Prismatic has a reprint, I think a lot of people will turn their allocations right back into, Prismatic Evolutions. I think Surging Sparks actually, with that Pikachu chase, is a little bit more desirable possibly than Journey Together. I could be wrong on that. That's just my feeling. What I'm seeing personally, I would rather chase a Pikachu than I would like to chase than anything in the Journey Together line. But that's just me personally. I mean, Lily's Clefairy I could see chasing, but other than that, I'd almost rather chase a Pikachu in my opinion, and that's just how I am. I'm not everybody, um, but I do know a lot of younger people, even like my son, are definitely not going to take as much interest in Journey Together. He's going to be interested in something like Surging Sparks or Prismatic as well. And that's another factor you're going to have to look at is who's going to buy what and how much are they going to buy before you make that determination on whether or not you want to jump in for, $200 a booster box into that. So yeah, let's see here. And so we're going to go down in the chat. Like I said, I didn't have much. I just want to talk about that because I've been seeing a lot of people really, really talking about Journey Together is going to be the bubble popper. I don't know why it would. To be honest with you, there's so much demand. The only thing that's going to happen that would cause it to be a bubble popper is that you just can't get product and people are going to get tired of chasing without product. But we've seen this all before. It just keeps driving the price up higher and higher and higher until we get a massive reprint. I mean, it's going to settle. And that's exactly what it did when Sword and Shield as well. It came up to a peak. It peaked at 20, the end of 2020, beginning of 2021. It came down, probably dropped about 15%, 20% from its peak, and it kind of flatlined all the way up until, Evolving Skies. Evolving Skies had that boom, and then we got a massive reprint of everything and anything that they had available in the last year. They literally printed it to death. And when they did that, they created so much product on it that it actually just killed it and kind of smothered out the flame on the scalping and everything else in the hobby. It took a long time. I mean, it took a long time for it to finally build back up. Scarlet and Violet definitely didn't have it for a long time, but now it is, and now we're starting to see it at this point. And right now, it's just a lack of product. Oh, the other thing I was going to talk about too is I did sit down and I did talk to the rep from MJ Holding that was coming to our stores here. So from our local MJ Holding distributor, um, they've been saying so. they said, and this is what they said for what their input was into them is that they have been receiving the exact same amount of product from the distributor in MJ Holding. They said the stuff goes off the shelf just incredibly fast. So if you're not seeing it in the stores right now, it's just because it's being bought that quick. They are bringing in the same amount. They said since pretty much all the way back from Paradox Rift, all the way through until now, they have been receiving almost identical numbers. Even Shrouded Fable and Prismatic to MJ Holding were almost the exact same allocation, which to me was absolutely insane. And the fact that they got almost the exact same as Shrouded Fable. Shrouded Fable still sitting on the shelf right now and can't be sold. There's 12 ETBs sitting on the shelf, and she actually told me that two of our Walmarts that I'm in are doing a remodel on their toy section, and they want the toy section to be full. So she's bringing 35 ETBs to each one of two stores of Shrouded Fable because that's all that they've got. That's all they have with a large quantity. So basically, they're going to fill the shelf and make it look full with Shrouded Fable. So just to give you an idea how much Shrouded Fable is still available out there, even at MJ Holding, they've got 70 ETBs sitting there to just fill shelves. And they said it's just sitting there. Plus, they've already got 12 there. So she said there's 12 at the one, there's 8 at the other one. And she said they're bringing 35 more to each just to make the shelving look full for the corporate, so that they're doing that reset and they want to make the shelving look like it's full for at least a day or two, hopefully. And I think Shrouded Fable is going to give them the availability to do that. So there's also still those adventure chests out there. They are starting to move a little bit. I do know that promo inside of those adventure chests are finally going up. And with the pricing on those being right now, some places are down to, some people have said $20. I know even Terry Lake said that they were $20 where he was. They're 35 here. That price, that promo, and the packs inside of it are finally giving you some value to where they're starting to get to the point where there might be some opportunity in those adventure, at least to be able to break even on them if you just wanted to get packs and keep moving. It's definitely, if you want to open something with potential value in it, then it gives you that opportunity in that adventure chest too. I don't think too many people are going to cry if you rip that thing apart and get rid of it, just because there's so many of them out there and they just do not move. So yeah, that's to give me an update from MJ Holding that pretty much since Paradox Rift, they have not had an increase in the amount of product that comes in. So I'm assuming that might be a company wide. I don't know if that's just the Midwest. So that was our Midwest branch of MJ Holding is where that's from. So that covers Wisconsin, Minnesota, Illinois, Michigan, Indiana, or Iowa, and Ohio. So that's the MJ Holding that she works for, covers all of those. And they did not get any more. They have not gotten an increase in the amount of product they come in. The same amount of product has come in on every single set, even the specialty sets. So Prismatic Evolutions got the exact same amount as Shrouded Fable. The difference is that it was gone. They literally, it was off the shelf and gone before it was, as they were putting it out. And that's just because it's Prismatic. So just to give you a perspective on what we're seeing on that too. I thought that was really interesting that they didn't get any change. I was expecting to say that they got less Prismatic or that they just have a ton of Shrouded Fable, but no, she said it was pretty much they were been told as at the corporate or when they do meetings and stuff online that they are getting the exact same amount. Their allocation from Pokemon has been consistent, so they're getting the same amount of product. The only difference is the consumer demand is burning up that product faster, which means the shelves look empty just because of the fact that people want it. And people want it. People come in and they burn through it extremely fast, and that's where we're seeing that empty shelf that look now that we are all seeing at our local Walmarts, Targets, Best Buys. Well, I shouldn't say Best Buy because Best Buy is Excel. I don't know if they've or Exceed. I don't know what their changes are. I haven't talked to anybody in that end of the distribution, but I have just talked to MJ Holding. So all right, guys, there we go. We made it through the monologue for the beginning. Greatly appreciate for everybody. Once again, Carl, thank you for joining and being number one tonight. We got iFOMO jumping in tonight. Thank you so much for being here. Blitzkrieg, how you doing this evening? Hey, hey. We got Antonio with the wave. How's it going, Antonio? We got Hitus in here as well. Thank you so much for dropping in here, Hitus. We have Civic. How you doing, Civic? And we got Rish. Thank you so much for joining us here so far this evening. Greatly appreciate it. And like I said, if you've got anything you want to discuss when it comes down to Journey Together on why you may think that it will pop the market, I am more than willing to discuss that because I think it's a really, really interesting concept that a couple of the medium-sized content creators are kind of pushing this this feel or this narrative that because Journey Together is going to be low print, but that would be saying at this point in time the equivalent of, Chilling Reign and Battle Styles getting a low print and Sword and Shield was going to cause the market to collapse. And I really don't see that happening currently. People are pretty persistent when it comes down to wanting to open packs when they're in the mood, and they are right now in the mood. And I don't think that a low print rate on Journey Together is going to be a deciding factor on whether or not they do, whether deciding factor on whether or not they're going to leave the hobby or not. All right, going back to the messages real quick here. One that we got, Blitzkrieg. I stopped buying stuff currently unless I can catch something in the wild, and that seems to be that's even how I've been. I mean, I talked about that a few months ago. Is that the risks are getting too high for the reward potentially? Granted, you might get lucky, buy it at a high price, and it might go up enough to where you can make a profitability. The problem is that a lot of times people, especially when you're new in the hobby, don't understand that you have to move, the product has to move up in price approximately 20% for you to make any profit on it. And that's a hard part for people to understand a lot of times. They think that you buy, and we see it all the time where someone will point out that this product, for example, I'll just pull this out. They were able to buy these, at Walmart. Right now, you could have bought these at Walmart, and if they would have bought them at Walmart 6 months ago when they were available on the shelf, they would have paid for these things at Walmart $28.99. So you got $28.99, and they're thinking, okay, now they're selling for $32. So hey, I'm making money, right? And that's their concept, was what they're thinking is that they're making money at that point. And the problem is that they may be making money if they're selling it directly to a consumer without any kind of transaction fee. But a majority of people that are purchasing these products off of shelves and trying to do that are purchasing it and then selling it through something like TCG Player or eBay or some kind of streaming service. Even if you're buying this, like and do rip and ship with these boxes. If you're doing that, you are going to have some kind of buyer's fee that's involved with that product being sold. So, for example, Obsidian Flames, if you were to go to Walmart, and I'll just do the thing right now, you bought it for the $28.99 that they are. Depending on where you're at, I'm just going to tell you where we're at here in Wisconsin, is that you're going to have to pay 5.5% sales tax on it, because I don't get any break on a booster box or a booster pack because I'm purchasing at a store. Walmart doesn't give me my wholesaler or discount or my reseller's discount for the taxes. They collect taxes on it no matter what. So you figure that, okay, you got $30.58 going at that point. So you're already at $30.58 in order to be able to break even just with the taxes that you would have paid on that particular product. And then let's just say I use TikTok. So if I use TikTok right now and I sell this product on TikTok, they're going to charge me, if I do it through a live, they're going to charge me 4%. If they sell it on their shop, they're going to charge me 6%. So basically, you got to figure that on the lowest platform that I get, I have to be able to sell that at a minimum. I'm going to lose 4% more on top of that. So if I'm selling this out there right now, in order to break even, I would have to sell this at $32. So $32 right now, and that's without shipping costs. So you got to have shipping involved into that as well. So in order to break even on this particular product right now, it's really got to hit $32 if you don't pay shipping and they pay shipping. But you still got to buy a box. You still got to buy the label material. You still have to buy the packing material, and you still got to pay the fuel to go take it to the stations or to the post office. So that's the one thing that people just don't sometimes comprehend, is just because this box is now selling on TCG Player or any place for $32 right now or $33 does not mean that you're making profit at that point in time. So that's a really interesting concept that people are going to get bid on. They've always gotten bid on that at first. It's something that you don't think about because, a lot of people, I'm going to say a lot of people, even on investment channels, I see them doing it again, where they'll show this box. I've seen this box come up on investments. This box has gone up, 8% in the last 3 months. So this is a fantastic buy. You'd be ahead right now by 8%. No, you're not ahead by 8%. You're breaking even. Basically, you're holding it for 3 months and you're breaking even at this point in time. Now, if this box were to go up to like $40, then yes, you're going to start making some decent profit. But there's always that sales fee, and I'm giving you like one of the lowest values is at 4 to 6%. If you were to say the same thing, so let's just say you were to go back to it and go, okay, I'm going to sell on TCG Player. TCG Player is with their initial transaction fee and their percentage fee, it's almost 15%. You're like 14.23%. So if I take that same thing and sell it on TCG Player, and I sell it at 14.23, I got to sell it for $35. So right now, if you were to sell that on TCG Player for $33 that it's going for currently, you're losing money. And you're still going backwards, and you may not even realize it. But it's a learning curve. It's a learning curve for everybody to figure that out. But just so you guys are aware, typically if you're buying a product and you're looking to see if it's got some value to it, or if you're trying to find something that you're trying to sell or keep your shop going and you're finding it at a store, or if you're finding it at a game shop or someplace and you're purchasing this, even if you're purchasing these online, you found them on, let's just say you found them on eBay for $28. You bought them, you brought them back in, and you're sitting there and you're trying to sell them again to make a little bit of profit to keep your store going. Make sure you're understanding that you are losing transaction fees in there as well. And good old Uncle Sam ain't going to give up on his money either. So be sure that you understand those factors when you're doing those things, that you are technically needing to make a substantial amount more. Usually, if you're selling on TCG Player, you always got to figure it's got to be about 20% more in order for you to be able to be profitable on that. So once again, if you buy it at $28, you're going to need it to get up to almost $40 on TCG Player in order to make profit. If you already have a shop built and you got everything set up on TikTok, you can do it a little bit cheaper at around that 35 to 36, but then you're only making like $1 or 50 cents to $1 at that point. So there's another factor as well. So it's just something you always got to consider. It's just something to look out for. I'm going to just let people know that are watching this video at this point. If you are newer and you're just starting out in this hobby and this is something you're interested in and something that you're looking at potentially doing, just keep that in consideration as well. Is that there are always hidden fees on everything, and sometimes selling a couple products and doing it slow, seeing what your actual take home is after selling those particular products is definitely a good way to just be sure that you don't get yourself in a position where you're not making the profitability that you were hoping to make on that. So there we go on that. So there's my little blurb on that. So just so you guys are aware, just because it looks like it's gone up by 8% does not mean you're making 8% profit. Just keep that in mind. I mean, if you're selling it to someone on the street, yeah, you're meeting a buddy on the street, and you're selling it to them for the market value, you picked it up at MSRP, then yeah, you'll be fine because you don't have fees. But a majority of people are selling where there are fees involved into that. Blitzkrieg said he says he bought 2 ounces of gold. That's actually not a bad investment at this point in time. We'll know in the next 6 months how that's going to pan out. Gold, regardless, will be good. I wouldn't be any concerned with gold. It's just it might be the safer place to go when it comes down to the overall, where things are going. Antonio, Roaring Skies got a reprint after the set was supposed to be out of rotation and out of normal reprint. Exactly. They did. And that was one thing that did happen with Roaring Skies. And that's the exact same thing that happened with XY Evolutions. XY Evolutions was not out of rotation by that point in time, but Roaring Skies was also the huge set, and everybody was buying into it because of that. There was that Pokemon Go boom at that point in time, and those were the 2 sets that were very, very popular, going up in price very, very fast, and a lot of demand on those sets. And Pokemon decided that either A, they wanted to stop the scalping and kill the boom and get it back to a normalized market, or B, they wanted to capitalize on the potential profit, and then they reprinted both of those sets just to death. They absolutely killed the boom. Pokemon itself, I'm not going to say it was the sole reason, but it was a very good reason, a very good factor on why Rudy had his XY Evolutions toilet room, was because of the fact of Pokemon doing that. And even Rudy from, Alpha Investments said he was mad because he called it he had the XY Evolutions bathroom. I just always will remember that these things are so bad, this is where they belong, right next to the toilet, because they're so shitty. This is where they belong. So yeah, that was something that did occur, and that was the reasoning. I'm not going to say it was a sole proprietor. I wasn't in the hobby. I've just heard stories from individuals that were in the hobby at that point in time. And I do know that going back to like Rudy's videos and stuff from that time frame, definitely that was the consensus is that their reprint strategy on XY and how they did that and completely decimated the amount of product that was available for everybody that thought, number one, they were secure, and number two, the fact that the market was going so hot at that point in time that they actually decimated the popularity of them sets, which really did drive that market back down. Maybe that's what Pokemon's going to do this time. Their main goal is just to bring it back to a normalized market because they did. A lot of people criticized Pokemon for a long time when it came down to Sword and Shield, how they handled that they overprinted and then made the market worthless. But there again, it kept the market more flatlined overall for the hobby, and it actually caused more organic growth, slower growth, but it made a more strong and stable hobby. If you think about it, since 2022, roughly, we have had a very stable market where you could almost sit there and understand that this is going to do well for this reason. It's not this is going to do well because scalpers are going to clean it off the shelf. It got to be that way because everybody was liking the fact that, hey, this is very slow, stable. We know that we can buy this. We know that there's something collectible. Collectors like this. It got to the point where you were just sitting there and picking and choosing what you thought was going to do well. And typically it did just because you understood how the collector and the investor and the player was going to do things, that you knew these cards were going to be successful and popular. But now we're in an unnormalized market again where we got this craze, this hype, this FOMO, and the scalpers are in it. Now it's unpredictable. It becomes very unpredictable and unstable. We don't know how well it's going to handle until everything stabilizes again. So, yeah, Pokemon's been doing pretty good the last two booms of finding a way to stabilize this market and making a more normalized market. They may do the exact same thing coming up here. I don't think it's going to be that Journey Together. I don't think Journey Together is going to do that. But what happens with these reprints in April and May, and possibly, I haven't heard anything about June, but April and May, we're definitely supposed to be getting some more reprints. What's going to happen with those are really going to determine whether or not Pokemon's going to normalize this market or not. Let's see. Civic, single set, it is. Rish, what's up? How's it going? Going well? Rish, I believe Greninja might be a bigger chase than the Pikachu. And I could see that. It's really coming down to Greninja fans versus Pikachu fans. The thing is, long term, there are a lot of Pikachu fans. It is very hard to sit there and really say anything is going to do a lot better than a Pikachu. Because overall, I do understand. I mean, Greninja is a very popular card. I mean, right now, what is it raw? Like, it's still sitting at about 350, 375. So it's been pretty stable at that point when it comes down to the market. We're seeing a little bit of an uptick now because it's been sitting at about that 330 range for a long period of time. But now that the product line is getting a little bit more dried up and it's getting harder to find, it's definitely going up in value again a little bit. And that's what we're going to see with a lot of these. But currently, that Pikachu is still going up in value as well, even though it's a little bit older. Surging Sparks being short printed is definitely a big factor. I mean, it's been flatlined, but it's sitting flat at about $450 currently. But there's been more Surging Sparks showing up. I actually got more Surging Sparks from my distributor as well. I got a half case of sleeve blisters as well. So we are seeing some Surging Sparks still coming out as well. So we'll be seeing. Plus, there's been the announcement. It sounds like my distributors have said that there's Surging Sparks coming. They don't know if it's going to be April or May, but we're supposed to be getting Surging Sparks coming back as a reprint as well, which may also suppress that market when it comes down to how much people are willing to pay for a Pikachu at this point in time. But yeah, I could see the Greninja being a bigger chase. It's really going to depend on if Twilight Masquerade gets a reprint at this point in time or not. FOMO is studying. Yeah, that's rough. I wouldn't want to. I'm so glad I don't have to study all that much unless I'm just doing it for work, just doing little studying sessions. I'm okay with little studying sessions. I'm so glad I'm not doing school anymore. Hydus says, I seen on Golden Auctions, all booster boxes are verified for authentication from Lickloa. I think this is awesome. I've got some Fusion Strike Error God boxes I want to authenticate. So can they authenticate that it's an error box or can they not? I mean, I don't know. The only way I knew that you could authenticate the error box, I thought, was if it came from a specific region. So I don't know how they would authenticate that unless they opened it up. So if they're opening it, even then I don't know how they would do it because they'd have to start weighing packs and going that route to potentially find it, or a little metal detector one. But I don't know, you know, I don't know how they would authenticate that that's an error box. That's the catch is that when it happened, it was easy to locate. So if you knew you bought it from that area, that you had a good chance, or you knew other boxes in there were error boxes, then that's the only way that you're really going to know. I believe they go through box and verify hits. There's a serial number, you think? I thought that's only on the... I might be wrong. I guess I've really never paid attention because... So none of the booster boxes have serial numbers on them. They got a barcode. I'm just looking because I've got several. Yeah, I mean... So that number's the same. That number's the same. Unless that's a case identification, but... Because both of these... Yeah, I mean, these are both the exact same. The only thing that changes is for example, this is 18018. So this is Brilliant Stars versus Astral Radiance. They're all kind of the same. So I'm not 100%. Yeah, on the actual case. So he's saying booster boxes. If he's saying case, then yes, you can identify the case. But if you're just trying to authenticate a booster box, I don't know how you'd authenticate a booster box. Because I'm just looking. I got my cases up here. I'm looking on that. Because there is the carton number. So basically your carton number is... No, it's the same on every one of those. So I guess I'm not 100% sure. Because the carton number... Yeah, and that matches the... So that matches the case number down below. And I'm looking at my Astral Radiance one there. And that matches my Astral Radiance box there for the barcode. The barcode is all the same on it. I'm just like, I got a pile of cases up here, and I'm looking to see. Yeah, I'm not seeing any difference in the numbers either. Huh. Yeah, I don't know how they would do it. I know the tins have a serial number. Tins have a serial. Okay, let's see here. Let's see. A CT scan. Oh, okay, so that's what they're doing. All right, yeah, that makes sense. If they are CT scanning it, then yes. Yes, you can if you're doing CT scanning, then yes, then you could do that. Well, mini tins don't have it, so I got mini tins right here. So mini tins just tell you if they're like this is an E24. So it's really not a serial number. I'm looking at all the, I mean, you got the barcode. And the barcode is the same. Whether I pick this one, these are just different designs, but the barcode's the same. They're all E24. So I don't know. I don't see, like I said, if he's CT scanning them, that makes sense. To me, that makes 100% because even booster boxes, I didn't think cases even have serial numbers. They have batch numbers. So like the carton number is the batch. I do know. Yeah, because I mean, even the Pokemon Center International number is the same. That's the PO. I think the PO number changes on them. So if you get different batches of them, and the cases, I think you can tell the cases by the TPCI number. So maybe that's how you'd be able to tell a case. But I mean, they're all the same. I might be missing something. I'll have to pull a case down and actually really look. But I'm just going through my cases on the wall here, and I know I've got the 5 Evolving Skies. I got 2 Astral Radiance. That matches the one because I had 3, and I opened one. That's where I got that one, and all the numbers are matching to that barcode down below. So even the barcode on the bottom is the same. So I don't know. I am the CT scanning makes sense. I'm just looking at the conversation here. So yeah, CT scanning makes sense. So if they're gonna CT scan it and go that route, then yeah, definitely. Then that would be the only real way that you could truly tell if it's a God box or not. So then you'd be able to know or authenticate that it's a God box at that point in time. Hey Gimbo, how you doing this evening? So we got Hideous. I believe they go through box and verify hits and not release to this. Okay. Gimbo, if the market stays hot for the foreseeable future and booster boxes don't drop under the $180, do you still see Scarlet and Violet sets that would be decent long-term holds? I still think that I've thought that there'd be some sets that I think would be very, very good. So when you're sitting there looking at a lot of the Scarlet and Violet sets, I think long-term holds, I think Paldea Evolved is definitely one of them. I've said these before. I think that there's still some really good long-term holds. Some people really just didn't like Scarlet and Violet at first, but now that it's getting hot and there's value in the cards, all of a sudden people that were like, I will never do this, all of a sudden do want to be in Scarlet and Violet. Now that the money's involved, they're all of a sudden very excited to be in Scarlet and Violet. So there's always that shift that sometimes, like we talked about back in 20, what was it, 2023, that hey, people are not going to join this hobby. People don't want to go in the Scarlet and Violet. They're coming in kicking and screaming. Josh from Old Card Shop and I sat here and talked on a live and talked about that it won't happen until people see money. Realistically, there's people that like myself and others that are very into the cards. We like the cards. We like Pokemon. We enjoy the hobby. We'll do the hobby no matter what. Will work through whatever you give us, and we enjoy it. The artwork's good. We're gonna be here. We like the illustrator rares. We're good to go. I've got still got my binders. I'm building binders of collections. I do enjoy the cards. The value didn't really matter at that point in time. I was still buying them because I liked them. If they were a decent price on the shelf and I thought they were way underpriced because I do enjoy them, I bought multiples of them because I wanted to have them. And that was the case back then. And now we're seeing, now that there's money involved, everybody's coming in. So now all of a sudden, Scarlet and Violet's an awesome era to be in all of a sudden because, well, there's money involved. So now it's awesome to be here. I've been here the whole time. I've just been hanging out doing small things. That's what we're seeing on some channels as well. But it is what it is. And its fact is I think there's going to be some good sets that are going to hold value. I think Paldea Evolved, very, very strong set overall. Paradox Rift, I always thought was kind of a downplayed set, realistically. I always thought that it had some really good alternate arts in it. Number one, the Iron Valiant to me makes sense. The Roaring Moon makes sense. Both of those cards are really good artworks, and they make sense to me when it comes down to the ancient futuristic on it. Temporal Forces to me, I've always said it. I'll continue to say it. I know PK said that people just got to remember what the Pokemon is. Personally, I just don't feel it. I just don't see the set being popular in 10 years when people are trying to figure out what is the giraffe looking dinosaur in the set, when even an older person that was back from the beginning, even watching the anime, understands who Raikou is. They're not going to understand it. Raging Bolt, the giraffe looking dinosaur Pokemon, is actually a predecessor to Raging Bolt. And the whole thing doesn't make sense to me either. I mean, I know it's Paradox. People have said in the comments after I've said doesn't make sense calling it an ancient Pokemon when they were created by Oho and the whole anime series that comes from that. Well, it's Paradox, so this happened differently, and that Paradox is what a couple of people said in comments. I get that, okay. You can go that route if you want. It's just, to me, people aren't going to associate as well with that. Right now, everything's hot, so it's really hard to really dig through what sets are going to be the best. I think Surging Sparks is going to do okay. It does have a little bit more girth to it than like a Vivid Voltage. Prismatic is, of course, going to be a hot set in general. I think that you're going to see really good value in that one. Twilight Masquerade really, really does well, is also with that Greninja Chase. You got that Eevee in there as well, so there's some really good value in the Twilight Masquerade set. So, and some really good chase cards in it too. I'm looking at more of where the chases are, where people might want things futuristically. Because you got that Chansey card inside Twilight Masquerade. You got that Infernape doing extremely well also. Like Greninja, you got the starter Infernape in there. People really do enjoy that card. So there's some really, really good cards inside of that particular set that I think that are going to do well. And that's where I really look at for a long-term investment. Which cards do you think are going to hold up the best? I really start looking at which cards have actual value and what people are going to want to have futuristically in a set. If you're a collector, what's the chances are is that you're going to want to collect something that, what's something you're going to want to collect? And is that card going to be in these sets? And is that card, do you see people wanting to collect that? So we go to Surging Sparks. Is the Melotech something that people will collect? Yes, I already know people that like Melotech. They will be doing that. Latios and Latios, are those cards that people are going to want to collect futuristically? Yes, there's a huge following for Latios and Latios cards. Pikachu EX, are there people that want Pikachu? Absolutely. Pikachu is definitely going to hold some value when it comes down to this set. So there are definitely some cards inside of here that are going to hold some value that people are going to want, and that are going to move. Fanfi card, another one I think that's going to be a little bit lower, but I still think people are going to really want that particular card futuristically. So there's some really good value in some of the cards that people are going to want in the set. Prismatic, of course, you got all the evolutions. That's going to hold that set up. I'm just going to go, let me look down the other ones. Obsidian Flames, the Charizard Chase. 151, of course, is going to do exceptionally well throughout the time. So I do think there's going to be a lot of Scarlet and Violet sets that are futuristically going to do extremely well. And, do I think they're all going to do extremely well? No. Do I think base set's going to be lighting the world on fire? Not really. Obsidian Flame, I think the Charizard is going to hold it up fairly well, but it's an easy pull rate. So there's a lot of Charizards out there. It's very, and from what I've seen, the grading is actually pretty decent on it as well. So you're not, it's not a grade easy, but it's an easier grade compared to a lot of other sets here in the Scarlet and Violet era. That's the problem is that you're going to see, I think, in the Scarlet and Violet era. And me going through, I'm sitting here trying to get a batch of graded because that's how bad the market is, boys and girls. I am going back to grading, and I didn't think I'd be doing that in 2025. So, I mean, I've been working through all of these graded cards, trying to find out which ones I want to get sent out. So, cards that I've been just amassing here, just holding on to, not really selling, been busy streaming, not really doing stuff with singles and not really doing stuff with grading. I've had them sitting here for a long period of time. I'm now starting to sort through these cards to find some to get grading and get that moving and do something else to just try and keep that income and keep that algorithm and keep things moving. So grading is another opportunity to do so, and then sell some of the singles that just aren't, that aren't gradable. But man, so this is my Scarlet and Violet pile of IRs and Illustrator rares that I've been going through right now, and there's a few more down here in another pile that I haven't gone through yet. But these are all what I would call rejects. The problem is that with a lot of these cards, if you look at these, so even like this, it's a Frostlass. They all have, a majority of them have edge issues. They have dings, dents, marks, little pitting on the back. I find a lot of these cards, the quality of Scarlet and Violet in general has been really, really rough. So trying to find cards that'll grade, I mean, the Sandy Shock, another one. Granted, it's an opportunity to make another $30. I mean, realistically, I'm not chasing like high dollar Muse and those kind of cards, but this card here, if you got it and got it in a 10, you're going to be able to make $30, $35 on the card for after the transaction's done. But the problem is that the hollow up on the top edge here has got marks in it. So it's something with the cutting process is leaving a lot of marks. And if we don't get reprints on those, that's definitely going to be a consideration as well. Is, Paldea Evolved. We didn't get a big reprint of Paldea Evolved. We all know how bad grading that Magikarp is currently. And trying to get that Magikarp going is definitely going to be an issue futuristically for the amount of graded cards that are available in that area. So if you have some, definitely. So this is a Steelix card, which is going really, really good right now. I have 4 of these cards. Only one of them didn't have a ding on it somewhere on the edge. And these came out of the pack right into a sleeve and then into a top loader, and they have been protected in a top loader ever since. I'm just taking the time now to start going through these. And even a majority of these are even this pile is a majority of these are Sword and Shield or Japanese because they have better quality. I can find cards fairly easily in those two eras. I can't find them as easily in the Scarlet and Violet era. So that's definitely going to be something to consider as well for futuristically. Are people going to chase more of these for the gradability of these cards? Because gradability is going to be such crap that people are going to need to have some really good opportunity, are going to need these in order to be able to get these PSA 10 collections and get these PSA 10 collectible cards for themselves. So definitely something to be watching as well futuristically on these sets. Is it going to hold up after a reprint? We don't know. Are they going to sharpen the knives or fix those issues? We don't know. You're really going to have to see what it looks like after a reprint comes through these particular cards. So, like I said, right now I'm just slowly working through some of these cards, trying to find, a lot of these ones in my hand right here are all Sword and Shield. So I know that they've been looking, just doing pre-grading. Basically, I go through the pile and I go, these are all the cards that I have. These ones have good centering. After they get good centering, I put them on the side. After I find the good centering ones, I start looking at them closely. I start looking for scratches, imperfections, dings, corners, all that stuff after I get the centering ones that I want. And I just do through the process of elimination to the point where I get the ones that I want to send. So, yeah, it hasn't been good through Scarlet and Violet right now, it has not been going so hot. It's been very difficult to find ones that don't have some kind of mark that would disqualify them as a PSA 10. Let's see here. So, do Rish, you must always pay the fee for the platform you are attempting to sell. Yes, you do. Uncle Sam wants his money too. He always does. Yep, exactly. So, whatever platform you choose, you're going to be paying a fee. And that's just the fact of the matter of how business works right now. If you're doing online, the other part is too is that if you do even do personal sales and you use Venmo or you use a credit card service such as PayPal or Square, you're going to pay a fee there too. There's always fees involved whenever you're doing electronic money transfers right now. And the fact of the matter is that you're going to be paying that no matter what. Each platform has their own fees. Each credit card company has their own fees. Cash is the only way you're getting away from fees. And then you don't have to pay taxes typically either if you can do small enough cash sales to where Uncle Sam doesn't realize that you're buying a ton of stuff and you're not, and you're selling it and your accounts are going up, but yet you're not making card transactions. Be careful on that as well. They're getting a little bit more observant on that. All right, where are we at here? We're at Antonio. I saw Hidden Fates packs are $25 each, but the tins are 80. I don't know how that happens. It happens all the time. And I don't Hidden Fates has been very good at that. Because if you look at the tin price, and if you probably look at the ETB price at this point in time, because there's 10 in an ETB, and an ETB of Hidden Fates right now, the last time I looked, was still sitting. So where's Hidden Fates right now? Let me just pull open the last current sales right now of sealed product for Hidden Fates Elite Trainer boxes. Right now we're at 240. So you're at 222 on eBay, you're at 248 on TCG Player. So you're sitting right there. Last eBay sales. So I'm just looking, no auction eBay sales. 22, 20, 225, 222, 210, 240. So they're kind of all over the place. But that's just it. It's very, very interesting how that does work sometimes. And sometimes it really depends on the availability too. Maybe ETBs are more available and packs look like they're short. So people FOMO on packs for whatever reason. Weird things happen. So let's see here. Got through Antonio. Antonio says there are serial numbers. I think, yeah, I couldn't find that. Going through all that already. Titus says the FSC number has to be, yeah, okay, that's what I was wondering. That's the number I can see all my cases are saying, but they were all bought at the same time. So yeah, you would probably have, that's the one number that I was saying. I think that would change based on which one, where it was made or what order it was produced in. That could change. These are all most of my cases are all from the same lot, so I just bought multiple cases from the same lot and then they got put away. So that's a hard way for me to tell. Let's see here. Titus says, I do know as I've opened a few and did the test on my own. Well, that's good. At least that way, too, if they verify it, it makes it easier for you to sell them that way. Antonio, people figured out how to find what the product codes means. And depending on the codes, the packs are different. Reason why some Pokeballs have different packs. Well, Pokeballs, yeah, that's what I'm saying is that it's not a serial number. It's an identification code. So a Pokeball has, for example, on the bottom, I got one. Pokeballs are really easy because, like this one here, has just got an E22, so we know the E22, and you can figure out what packs are with it. But if I grab this one here, this one is a D21, so this had different packs in it as well. So this one had D21s had Evolving Skies, Fusion Strike, and Chilling Rain. So D21s were that. There's a J21. J21 had Fusion Strike, Cosmic Eclipse, and Vivid Voltage in it. So yeah, it really just depended on what the number is on the bottom. So each tins have different numbers on them, and that correlates with what season that they were released, and the season that they're released in determines what packs are inside of them. So mini tins are the same way. They have the same artwork on mini tins, but the E number or whatever, CE, they're like their C20, 21, 22, 23 of the power tins, then yeah, you can actually determine that through that. So it's really not serial number. It's just their model number, I would say, or an identification code on them that, yeah, you could tell what packs, but it's not going to tell you what batch those packs are from, and it's not going to really break that down. And I'm not sure. I'm sure, like he's saying, or like Titus is saying here that yeah, that C number is going to give you the batch number that was made in. So if you're looking for this, you're going to find the batch that those happened in, and then you'll be able to identify that. Let's see, Antonio. Some low value alt arts are going up in price for Sword and Shield. Yes. Another one that I'm actually sending out for grading is like this Mimikyu. I got a couple of these in here. This Mimikyu was one of them that was very interesting because it went up to like $40 and then it retraced all the way back down to like $24, $25, $21, right in that range. And then now it's surging up as well. So we are seeing it not just in the alternate arts, we're seeing in the trainer gallery cards too. The black border trainer gallery cards are starting to surge again as well. So we are definitely seeing some different areas surging more and more. We're seeing more uptick again in Sword and Shield products. Not to be too surprised by that, though. I mean, realistically, it's getting far enough out where there's not as much opportunity to get purchases in this stuff, and the pricing of it continues to go up, and we're not getting stock back of it. So it's not like at some point here we're going to get a ton of stock back of Sword and Shield like they're going to do a big reprint. It's just not going to be very likely for that to happen at this point in time. So I mean, even this one raw, I mean, yeah, because here it spiked up to like $38, and then it dropped all the way back down to $21, and now it's surging back up. Currently, right now in TCG Player, up to $42 for this particular card. So in this one, they got a couple of them going out for grading because right now they're going for about $110 to $115 right now for graded in PSA 10. So there again, there's some value coming in some of these cards that just didn't have value before and they sat, and that's why I'm starting to go through my bins as well to get that. Pokemon Center. A lot of people who complain about the pricing really have ruined this part of the hobby for me. Yeah, I mean the pricing is the pricing. I mean it is what it is. People just need to understand that this is a capitalistic market when it comes down to it. Supply and demand runs the show, and if you don't like it, then you wait. I don't want to sound like nostalgianomics and sit there and say that you should get out of the hobby. I don't agree with that. I think you got to be looking at the issues and why it's happening and what's occurring. Um, a little bit of patience in this market really does go a long ways when it comes down to how to move forward. How things are going to perform in the futuristic side of things is all up in the air until Pokemon figures things out. Maybe Pokemon wants to start driving the market because they're going to increase MSRP. I mean, we look at what they did with Sword and Shield right after they did that whole shortage through 2021. They raised the prices. They stopped printing booster boxes and MSRP went up. So are they looking at a price increase on packs again? I don't know. Dragon Ball Z just went up in price. Magic just went up in price. Maybe Pokemon's chasing some more money on that end. So we're going into the new era of Pokemon. We're going to get into, Gen 10 coming up here in next year. And when that happens, are they going to do another booster box price increase at that point as well? Will we maybe see the new normal be $199 a booster box? Maybe that's what they're making or preparing people for. But in general, I mean, the pricing is the pricing. If you want to open packs, then it is what it is. You're going to have to just kind of mitigate through it and take your time, be patient, look for deals, find it at your local stores, and get it MSRP. If you have no patience and you want to get into it now and have no patience to wait, you're going to pay top dollar pricing right now. And that's just an open market when it comes down to capitalism. So it is what it is. I wish people would stop complaining so much and stop putting blame on everybody for the current situation. There's really only one reason that the situation is happening, and it's just coming down to the print runs from Pokemon, and we just have to go through it. We'll get reprints, things will change, things will shift. They always do. Pokemon will do what Pokemon does, and eventually we'll have more product again. We'll probably get buried in product. We'll have distributors telling us everything that we over ordered for Prismatic and for Journey Together that we didn't get on our allocations, that, well, here you go. It's yours. You ordered it and you could cancel it. But if you cancel it, we might not give you as much the next time. We're going to lower your allocations for the future. So that's also the part that you have to weigh when it comes down to the distributor. And I know I'm not going to put names out here. I listened to a person on here talking about distributing and that distributors won't do that and that that's not how distributing works, that they don't put you at the bottom of the list because you don't take product. That's not true. I know people that got screwed during that last boom that decided not to take all that product when they pre-ordered battle styles and when they pre-ordered Chilling Reign higher quantities, or doubling their order because they were trying to get what allocations that they could get. And when all that product came to them, they could have turned it down. I mean, they can't force you to take it. But if they didn't take it, they weren't going to be. And I know people that didn't because they couldn't afford all that product that they wanted to give them, and that hurt their allocations for about 6 to 7 months. So yes, you will drop down the ladder for allocations. They won't say no, we're not going to give you something. They just won't allow you to order as much. So when it comes down to product maybe being a little bit short, you're going to fall down a little bit lower for how much they're going to give you. So that's another factor. You got to weigh it out when you're trying to decide whether or not. A lot of guys took all that product and just dealt with it, took the hit and kind of dug through it, and they dug through it in about 6 months. Other places, didn't take it and it hurt them on their future allocations, especially when sets like Battle Style or Brilliant Stars came out. They weren't able to get as much Brilliant Stars because other stores were still getting higher quantities than they were, so they lost their positioning in the allocation train. So that's definitely something that can happen, and it does happen. So when I see some creators that say that that won't happen, then you weren't paying attention at that time frame. So it's definitely something that could, and that's definitely something you could continue to see. So we just kind of play with it. You got to make a move. You got to make your decisions. You got to play MSRP. You got to do those things. Everybody has opportunities in this market. There's still opportunities in the market to get MSRP. Right now, there's Surging Sparks sitting on the store at Walmart that got delivered on Friday that people have not bought. People are so fixated on Prismatic that there is Surging Sparks sitting on the shelf right now at Walmart for $5 a pack right now. And, there's opportunity. Someone could go buy that now. People want to sit there and complain that they can't get product, but yet Shrouded Fable sitting on the shelf at MSRP. I mean, you can still get stuff at MSRP. It's just a matter of whether or not you want it. If you got to have a fix for it, then you're going to have to do it. If you're not worried about value and you're looking for art, or you're just looking to open packs and have a chase, why does it matter if it's Shrouded Fable or Prismatic Evolutions? If you're looking for money and your ultimate cause is money, those are probably the people that are probably complaining about pricing right now. Is the fact that they can't make as much money because scalpers that have more dollar numbers in their pockets than they do are taking this product faster than they can get it. So it's a dynamic. It's something this isn't the first time we've been down this road. This is probably not going to be the last time we'll go down this road. It seems like a reciprocating cycle. It's going to continue to move forward and keep going. So here we go. We got Titus says, as a gold star seller on TCG Player, I hate the fees, but it's very easy to sell low price cards on TCG Player with no hassle. Yes, exactly. And that's the nice thing is that if you're selling bulk and that kind of stuff, I absolutely hate paying their fees through to TCG Player for selling, but like you said, it's easy to turn around some bulk cards and make a couple cents a card. But if you sell, 10,000 to 20,000 cards per month at a couple cents a piece, it adds up fairly decently. So you can still make $1,000 to $2,000 a month on TCG Player just by making 1 cent per card and sending it out. So yeah, I mean, there is that value and that opportunity there. The fees really do suck because I always wish that if anything they would tier it a little bit. If it's less than $1, it's like a flat 2-cent fee or 3-cent fee or something like that, rather than they charge you the transaction fee and then they charge you, then you still got to pay shipping. It's like, okay, I made a penny. Literally, I made a penny or 2 pennies on a 1-card order. Luckily, I don't get too many 1-card orders. Usually my orders are like 5 to 10 cards, which is great. And that makes it so that there is value. You do make some money on those then. I maybe get 2 to 3 1-card orders per month, and typically those 1-card orders are actually like a hollow or something that they're trying to finish in a collection. They're not like the complete bulk, the 10-cent cards. They're actually the 30 to 45 to $1 cards. So, and that's okay too, because then you still make decent on that. Antonio, yeah, tins. Okay, Antonio says kind of, or thinking of kind of thinking the went up over 300% raw. It's around $5, but it was barely $1 before. Can that's supposed to be the Kingdra? I guess I don't know which one that one is. You think they will do another celebration set this year for the anniversary? Well, the anniversary will be next year. That'll be 2026. That'll be the 30th anniversary. So they'll be doing something for the 30th anniversary. I guarantee that. Every 5 years they do an anniversary set. So they've done that ever. They had the 5 year anniversary, 10 year anniversary. Generations was really the big one, but yeah, we'll see something for the 30th anniversary. But that'll be in 2026. The 30th anniversary will be October 2026. So yeah, we got a little bit of time on that one yet. We still got another year before we have to be talking about that. That will actually be Gen 10, or should be Gen 10 at that point. Let's see. Antonio says, think some card shops are getting hit hard and either sell at lower price to make money back or go out of business if they over order. Yeah, I don't think that they're going to go out of business for over ordering right now. I think that there's enough demand in the Pokemon market that over ordering really isn't so much of a concern. Um, because I think that they know that they can get it out of there pretty easily. Even the thing is too is that a lot of people in business don't. If you're not in business, you don't understand how you can farm a loss. Um, so a lot of times that's what you see in little bit stiller markets too, is that you pretty much take your product, you sell as much as you can at a profit, and you make your profit where you can, and when the market falls out on that particular product, you can still technically sell products at a loss, and it's called farming the loss. So depending on how much write-offs you need for the year and how you do that, you can actually write off your loss on products on your taxes, and it actually does work out fairly well also. So if you're trying to get out of something and you're trying to get out of a product, it's not necessarily meaning you're going to lose 100% of the value of that. You can write some of that off on your taxes as losses in business on that particular item. If you do if you have an itemized list of what you paid for it to what you sold it, you can actually sit there. So like if you've got like us with our Shopify system and we have how many sales, and then we can see how many we bought at this price, how many we sold, and if we start lowering the price to do so, then you can actually track that loss. So let's say you start going negative on your sales after fees, you can start to accumulate that loss at the end with the itemized list, and then you can put that on your taxes as a write-off. So depending on where you're at for the year, if you made too much money, you can actually farm the loss to bring down your income tax as well. So yeah, there's definitely situations where actually losing money sometimes isn't the worst idea either for some products, or at some points. Granted, you don't want to do it all the time, and you don't want to do it continuously because then you will be out of business, but you can farm some of that loss out. So some people will intentionally, especially typically at the end of the year, or if they see their years going really well, they'll do it on some of the products that have been sitting for a long period of time. So for example, if these tins were to sit here for 2 years and they just were a year and they weren't moving, these Crown Zenith tins, I could sit there and say, okay, I bought them for this price. I'm going to sell them for this price after fees. I'm going to lose $2 a tin. And at the end of the year, I'm going to go back, and it's an itemized list through Shopify, my sales. And basically, I'm going to go back and I'm going to say, okay, I sold all those tins. So there's 15. So there's 19 of them up there. I'm going to put $19 or 19 of them. So at a $2 loss. And when it's all said and done, I'm just going to write that off of my taxes that I took a $2 loss on each one of those tins. It's going to be a write off. I can do that, if you moderate it and if you work on that. We do that a lot on business stuff, damaged products too. That's how you write off like damaged products. So if you buy a distributor and you get a booster box, like PokeRev's done that on his, where he gets damaged booster boxes, they're smashed, he's going to write that off. He's going to write that off as damage, and you're going to write off the loss on that at the end of the year on your taxes. So that's definitely an option, and it's called farming a loss. So you can do that to a point. All right, let's see. Antonio, think Best Buy is doing a Surging Sparks. I've been hearing that, so I'm kind of going to be watching that as well, because I would like to get some of those 6-pack booster bundles. I have like 3 of them left. I've been saving 3 from like every set just so I have them, just for because I like the booster bundles. I think they're a really nice product. But yeah, definitely I'll be watching for it if they do. I don't have any Surging Sparks though. I actually sold all of it out, planning on a reprint. I figured there'd be a reprint at some point. Hey Pika Pika, how you doing? Hopefully you're doing well tonight. Thank you so much for joining us here this evening. Hideous says, funny thought. I would have made a ton of dollars if I would have just bought forever stamps and a huge amount. When shipping my cheap TCG player cards in an envelope, as TCG player has shipping fixed at $1.27. I know. And that's the one thing I don't like about TCG player is that you should be able to say at so many cards purchased, you need to increase the shipping. Because I've actually sold large quantities of cards and lost my ass on shipping. Like where I would have made like good money and then I got to pay $5 to ship the stupid things because you paid $1.27 for shipping and then they buy 100 cards. And it's like, okay, but then I have to pay shipping and I made no money on this. So it's like, it goes the other way. There's a point where there's a nice little sweet spot in there where it's like between like 3 and 25 cards is like the sweet spot where you can actually do it and not have to do special mailing and everything like that. So it's like 3 to 25 cards is like the sweet spot where you can make really, really good money. If it goes like over 25 cards, the shipping on the other end is going to kill you. And if it goes like 1 card or 1 card, then it kills you as well. Poke Center, the market won't be able to ever go back down with distributors holding back 80% of the inventory, then drop it in the market weeks later. People who sell on top would never let this thing fall. No. And a lot of distributors are not holding back 80% of inventory. I can tell you that right now. I know that's a thing. Maybe there's distributors out there that are. I can tell you that my distributors are not holding back that product. There is not 80%. I do know companies like MJ Holding hold back 35 to 40%, but they do mystery products. They do other products. They break it down. They do their own options with it. So they do hold some back, some product. It's probably less. It's probably about 30% for MJ Holding. Exceed does that too. So like the ones that do mystery packs and stuff do hold back product for distributing, but they're repurposing that product and that's why they're holding it. And then, like you said, the ETBs that came out for Black Friday, those were probably ones that they were holding. They were going to break them down, and they never did because of the lack of booster boxes. They probably got those instead. They were going to break them down. They just didn't. They just ended up sending them out because they had too much. But in general, the distributors are not holding back that much product. They might be holding back a little bit just so a lot of times they'll hold stuff back. For example, they'll hold back booster boxes in order to incentivize me to buy tins. So they'll hold back booster boxes going, okay, I know you can't buy this tin, so nobody's buying this tin. I had one here someplace, but whatever. I'll just grab this. You won't buy this Pokeball because this Pokeball has crap packs in it and does not sell. You can't sell these Pokeballs to save your life. So what we're going to do is if you want Prismatic Evolutions, you want a case of Prismatic Evolutions, well, guess what? You got to buy 4 cases of these Pokeballs and we'll sell you the Prismatic Evolutions. So that's the game that they play with a product that they do hold back. But they're not holding back 80%. They're holding back maybe at the most 20. So if you inverse that, that would probably be right. So because I know distributors don't want to sit on product that long either. Because if a distributor did that, people would just start looking for another distributor. They wouldn't play that game if they knew someone was holding out on them. Because you need product, and the fact of the matter is that no distributors have product, and Pokemon is not putting out product currently at this point in time. And that's definitely a factor that's going to be very annoying and going to be a big issue until we get some reprints and these distributors get backfilled again. So Haida says, do you crack PSA 9s to sell as raw, or do you sell as a PSA 9 at raw price? I usually sit on PSA 9s. I got a whole bunch of PSA 9s, and I'm going to tell you why, because what I have found is that a PSA 9 may not have value today, but as the raw price of that card goes up, the PSA 9 value goes up. So if I paid to get it graded and it comes back a 9, and let's say I'm breaking even and it's going for the price of raw or whatever, if I pulled it If I got it in a bundle, whatever. In general, I'll just sit on it, especially if it's like an in-demand card or a potentially in-demand card. I'll just sit on it. Pokemon Knowledge has said it before. I've heard other channels say it before. A good way of looking at that is that Umbreon. Even if you got a PSA 8 on the thing, if you put it in the closet and you sat on that thing for 2 years, you're up in value. The value's gone up on that card. You've made money on it, just in default because the market's dragging it along. Now, if I was going to do a non-popular card, then yeah, I'd probably just crack it and get rid of it, or put it back in the raw bin so it don't take up as much space. But yeah, I mean, in general, I usually sit on a lot of nines just because I feel that, a lot of my nines, even for example, this one was a good example of when I got it graded, I lost money on it. It came back a 9. This Radiant Blastoise, I thought it'd be a 10. It came back a 9. And it would have been a loss even if I cracked it. It would have been breaking even at a crack or leaving it in a 9. It would have been a little bit behind on a 9. But now it's actually, now I'm going to be making, right now they're selling for about $15. So just by sitting on it a year on a popular card like a Blastoise or a Venusaur or something like that, the value came up anyway. So I ended up I'm making money on it now. So sometimes it's just a waiting game. Just wait and see. Sometimes you wait and see, and the market itself will just draw the card up in value. We're going to go to the last one here for tonight. I already see it's 10:20. Man, time flies and you're having fun. Once again, before I answer the last one here for Pika Pika, just a reminder for anybody who wants to help me out. This year's goal is to try and get a coffee club. So looking to get about 30 members into the membership here in the emoji club. Should make a coffee club. That'd be kind of fun. Make little coffee emojis with Pokemon. But I'm looking to try and get 20 people into that, or 30 people into it this year, to just give myself a cup of coffee at work every day of the month. That'd be greatly appreciated. And once again, just something to support the channel. It's a great way to do it. And it definitely helps out a lot when it comes down to some of the costs and just enjoying, doing the work for you guys here with the videos and everything in the lives and just sharing knowledge. Definitely appreciated for everybody that does that. But here we go. Pika Pika. Last question tonight. How close to market value do you sell on TCG Player, eBay, TikTok versus Craigslist, Facebook Marketplace? I only sell in person on the latter and wonder if you are getting more selling online. I usually base my product pricing based on the platform I'm on. I used to. Now it's become flat because I'm doing everything through Shopify. So all my inventory is on Shopify, and now it's sent out to all the other places. So it's sent out from Shopify to TCG Player. It's sent out from TCG Player. It's sent out to TikTok. It's sent out to Drip Sales Live or Drip Shop Live. It's sent out to my website. It's, so basically everything's become a flat rate price just because of the fact that it's on Shopify, and then it splits off and branches to each one of the locations. And I talked about that in the video that I did on Friday, or it was released on Saturday. So I talked about that on the this year's part of it. In person, I do sell a little bit less just because I don't have fees. So on Craigslist, I'm usually down about 10% on sales on the cost on Craigslist because number one, I typically don't have shipping, and number two, I don't have any of the fees unless they do a credit card or something like that, and I'll just tell them you got to pay the 3% for you to run, Venmo or Cash App or whatever they want to use at that point in time. So if they're doing that kind of stuff, then I do charge them their 3%. But otherwise, I'm usually about 10% down on Craigslist. But overall, the actual dollar amount ends up being consistent. So just because someone's buying it on TCG Player at $30 doesn't mean that me as a seller is getting $30. So because I'm losing 15% plus box. I'm losing 15% by the time I box it, ship it, and everything else too. So granted, I'm down 10%, so I make a little bit more money on in-person sales, but on the online sales, I'm always down. You could probably just sell at market value on Craigslist. I just enjoy not having to deal with the shipping or doing any of that stuff. So I do still sell in person. Yeah, Pika Pika. I do still sell in person. I just pull the inventory off there. So I just adjust my inventory if I pull it off and sell it. So, but yes, I do sell. I still sell on Craigslist locally, and it's 10% down. So, but all right, guys. Thank you everybody once again. Hopefully it answers your question, Pika Pika. But thank you everybody that's joined in tonight. Greatly appreciated for everybody that's been in this evening. Hopefully you guys learned something today. Hopefully you guys have some good times still trying to find some Pokemon product. I actually enjoy this kind of market. I love the hunting. I kind of miss the hunting that we used to do in 2020, 2020, 2021. I definitely miss the hunts that we used to do. So it's really awesome to almost, in a way, be hunting again. To me, I'm taking a frown and turning it upside down. We could sit here and say the markets suck, you can't find product, whatever. But hey, we're back to the hunt, and I love the hunt. The hunt was always fun. Trying to work it, trying to find something, going some places, having some fun, seeing what you can find, and then working that part of it was absolutely fun. Getting to talk to MJ Holding people again, because now they're a little bit more, open about what's happening right now. So there's definitely that advantage. To me, this is fun. I enjoy this. This is where it's work. You're working it. And you're trying to find where you can make that money, how you can make that money. Shifting back to graded cards. I didn't miss it when I left, but now I'm starting. Now that I'm back into it, I realize that I was kind of missing it because it's fun trying to find that graded card, doing the work, doing everything to analyze it and decide whether or not it has value and if that value is good. So once again, it's a fun market. To me, this is enjoyable. I'm not complaining at all. I think that this is a lot of fun. I know there's some people that will always complain about every situation. If we go the other direction, people are going to complain that there's no money in this market. So no matter what, you'll never make everybody happy. The sooner you realize that, the sooner you just move on in life and enjoy it and just have fun with what you want to do. So once again, everybody, make sure you do what you want to do. Enjoy it. Have fun. Sit back, relax. If you don't want to sit there and spend big money right now and just enjoy what's going on, look for singles. Go through the single shops. Look for graded card opportunities. There's tons of them out there. And GameStop is giving you a great opportunity to be able to get in on that market and do well and get in on it where you're not having to be concerned as much about what's happening right now with the single or with the sealed products. But you can do well with some really good low price grading right now, going through GameStop, not having to pay PSA, and doing really large bulk orders in order to be able to get that value out of PSA. So overall, there's some really good things. Enjoy it. Have fun. Collect the cards you like. Have some fun with everything. Have fun with tax returns. Yes, that's a good point. iPhone just said tax return season is going to be nuts. Yes, we're going to be doing that. This is where we might see some of the higher priced items also going up in value rather quickly also. So that's definitely something to be considering here as we're moving forward, that those things could happen as well. So overall, guys, what says Pika Pika said, whoa, congratulations as the A's. Yes, congratulations on that. Got A's for now. Congratulations, buddy. Once again, I missed that comment. Thank you, Pika Pika. I did miss that. So congratulations on that as well. Hard work does pay off, as you can see. So congratulations on that iPhone as well. Once again, thank you everybody for joining in here on this lovely Tuesday night. We will be live again next Tuesday, 9 p.m. Central Time here on Northwoods CCG. Hit that membership if you want to help out the channel and support. Also, we do have the merch, so check that out as well. That's for everybody. I forget to say that. We do have the merch down below as well. It also supports the channel and helps us out on that end. Also, make sure you guys check us out at the end of the week. We'll be posting another video here on Northwoods TCG. So I want to be doing one live, one video every single week for you guys here on Northwoods TCG. Otherwise, thank you everybody for joining. And as always, be safe, have fun, and enjoy the hobby here in the Pokemon world. Otherwise, we'll see you next time here